Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it, so I was like, "Thanks for the spoiler." And he's like, "Look, it's not my fault that you chose to wake up every day for 30 years and said today is the day I will not watch Ace Ventura."
That's too damn bad!
And I should have, but I think my mom. I didn't watch a lot of Jim Carrey's movies. Well, I watched The Mask, and I think I watched Liar Liar, but my mom hated him when he was younger. Earlier in his career, where he was a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
more like, "I'm doing all this shit," she was like, "He's so annoying and he's crude, and I don't like it." So I don't think I was.
He was pretty
And
crude. Yeah.
Don't touch that dial, Mary Tyler Morks. It's a zombie! Not quite, son, but I do appreciate the Haitian culture. Let me show you something!
I never got to watch all that. But then like now he's this like weird, annoying hippie. But I really liked him in the
Yeah.
in-between phase when he was like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, good dramatic actor. Now he's
Well, and
just
then he did a really good job as Dr. Robotnik in the Sonic movies.
I heard that. In general though, hasn't he kind of gone the Kevin Smith route?
He's more like the I freebased acid too hard and now
Okay.
I can't stop the trip. I mean, he's always been kind of out there, but now he's just open about it. He just basically talks about how he's not him. He's like, I'm not really Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's like the character I play.
I mean, that also
Yeah.
sounds like typical actor stuff. Like I believe that. Like people have a persona in public, so maybe that's what he just meant, where he's like, the
He's
Jim Carrey you know is not who I am at home.
kind of, but he's also it's pretty out there. You'll have to listen to him. We'll have to I'll have to find some interviews that he does recently. He's very much like that, but he also like kind of is done with the Hollywood thing. For a while there, he said he wasn't doing movies, and then he came back and did a bunch of movies. So I don't know.
It's a hard thing to quit. Hollywood is like every time I'm like, I'm quitting acting, and then I get like a really fun job. I'm like, okay, that reminds me like why you love it. So I can get why people have a hard time retiring from this industry.
Yeah, and he used to have. He doesn't have his website anymore, I don't think. But his website was like trippy, and you could click on all these different things on the website, and they would all do different things. It was a pretty interesting one. He also is like a pretty talented like artist. He does like a lot of paintings and stuff.
I don't know if I believe
That's
anybody's a
also-
talented artist. I don't understand what art is. Well, okay, I understand what art is. Fine art is my thing. Like visual art. I tend to be like, oh, that's pretty. To me, that's art. If I'm like, oh, that's a really cool thing, it makes me feel something, that's art. But for the most part, like, what was the one recently where it was like the guy taped a banana to the wall and that was art? And then like somebody like
Yeah.
went and ate the banana and they were like,
You ruined my art. Yeah, he's a little bit more actual like artist.
like it's not just like, oh, here's a toilet. This is art.
Yeah, but
Because
the
I
other
say it
problem,
is.
it looks like he does a lot of. Looks like recently he's been doing a lot of Trump artwork, so that's kind of like what most of it is now. And I'm like, oh, okay. There's like this one where he's crucifying Jesus, apparently.
What?
Yeah, apparently he doesn't like Trump again, I guess.
These are a little on the nose, Jim. Animane said, I don't believe anyone is a talented artist is, quote, possibly the most artist thing you've said in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
believe
like,
in art.
nobody's a talented artist. What is art? Abysmal Rapture says, yeah, Jim Carrey has severe TDS, but at first, in my head, I pronounce it like titties. And I was like, he's got severe titties. I'm like,
He's
so
got
do I.
This is the titty stream. This is what we're gonna call it now. Yeah, I don't know. He's weird. I'll have to find some interviews with him. I'll do the red carpet one that he did. I'll show you this real quick.
I've covered a lot of fashion weeks. This is the first time I've run into Jim Carrey. Wait, tell me, is it true you're wandering the streets? You need a date to the party? What's up?
No. I'm doing just fine. I just,
Can you hear this?
there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're
I
celebrating.
mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy,
icons?
that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have.
So the thing is, I thought for a moment, I'm like, oh, maybe he's like wanting to like raise an interesting philosophical question, but he's not giving her a chance to fucking talk.
Yeah,
He's just
that's the
talking
thing.
over her.
He kind of comes across like that friend that got really, I don't know, mind altered. Like I got a friend that used to like do a lot of mind altering drugs, and eventually he just got to the point where he'd go on these rants, and instead of it being like you guys having a conversation, just him ranting at everybody constantly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's like with Jim. He almost is like compelled to do these rants at people. He came across kind of like a prick,
Yeah.
And what I've seen recently is he's a little softer and he's a little nicer about it now. But for a while there, he was like a prick about it all the time. And I don't want to make it sound like exclusive or anything because it's not. It's just sometimes the mindset. If you're not like around people like that, it's hard. It just is very off-putting.
Well, it's off-putting even if you are around people like that. Because to me, it's like
Yeah.
that doesn't read like a real human. A real human doesn't ask questions and then just like tell you what you should think. Like that's a narcissist. Or I mean, that word's so overused nowadays, but you know what I mean. Like it's somebody who just likes to hear themselves talk. It was just interesting that he was defining like what was meaningless. Like he's like, oh, to me this is meaningless because I am the arbiter of real art. This might be her passion. Like who the fuck are you to say what you like and what you spend time, what your career has built to is meaningless? I mean, technically everything's meaningless in life if you say it's meaningless, or everything is purposeful and has tons of meaning if you say it has tons of meaning. Like it was just very like condescending. It's very like, oh, I don't like mainstream music, I only like artistic music. It's music nobody's heard of.
Who gives a shit?
Oh, I feel you 100%. I remember he got kind of blackballed in Hollywood for a bit for this one. He did the movie Kick-Ass 2. And he plays a character in it. And obviously Kick-Ass, the movies are very violent and stuff. When it came time to promote the movie, there had been, I think it was the Sandy Hook shooting. He refused to promote it and then like basically condemned the movie outright and was like, yeah, it was a terrible choice for me. The violence in this movie is awful. I cannot like in good conscience talk about this movie or promote this movie at all. And I guess all the actors are like, well, fuck that guy. They're like, it almost hurts the movie for you to be like, hey, don't go watch this movie now. And they all put their hard work and like effort and stuff into it. I can't justify the level of violence in this movie. And they're like, your character doesn't even use a gun in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird how I think Hollywood does something to people's brains, because actors in general, we're a weird bunch. My theater major friends, like we were eccentric, we were goofy, we were dorky, but we weren't like, there's maybe like one or two theater majors who are always like a little bit too into themselves. So I guess maybe he'd fall into that category. But even then, like everybody else around them was like, okay. And so you're kind of checked by the people that you're around. But I guess in Hollywood, you're so isolated from like real people that you just can get that far up your own ass and nobody will come find you. Or if they see you that you're that far up your ass, they're like, I don't know, do we pull him out? Is he gonna smell like his like ass? Oh, let's just leave him up there. I don't know.
Like, he made $100 million in that last movie. What are you gonna tell him?
Yeah.
I kind of get you. I mean, it's weird. It reminded me of an interview that Dave Chappelle did on Inside the Actors Studio. He's talking to James Lipton and he goes like, there are no weak people in this industry. Like he's like, you have to work really hard and you have to be really strong to be able to hear the no's and be told no constantly and still put yourself out there and do all this stuff. He goes, but why then do you see like Mariah Carey taking her clothes off on TLC, or like Martin Lawrence like running around in the streets like going, they're trying to kill me and stuff? Like what is going on in Hollywood that like you have these actors having these meltdowns? But they're obviously people that work really hard and take their careers very seriously. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing because based on what I've heard from like you and other people that have lived in LA and then other people that have like been in Hollywood and stuff, they're like, it's such a different vibe there than anywhere else in the world.
If you're that famous and everywhere you go, like the cashier recognizes you, the person like unclogging your toilets recognizes you, I think that would get to you. There's no sense of like, can I just be a person? Like you feel like you're always being watched. And I bet you that's probably like a pressure cooker of crazy. I can have a bad day. You know, like if I call customer service, like, I mean, I'm never going to be a bitch, but I might have a day where I'm like, look, I'm really frustrated. My internet's not working. Like, can we make like a thing, you know, like, and like, if I was a celebrity, people would be like, I talked to her and she was a bitch. I recorded it. Now it's on Entertainment Tonight. Like everything you do is under a microscope, and humans were not made to be seen by that many people, or that many people having opinions about you and then having the ability to shout those opinions at you with social media. Then again, Martin Lawrence and Mariah Carey were going crazy before social media. So